I feel so conflicted with this deck right now. This is Danger Knight, Danger Knight. This is Phantom Knight Dangers, and I've wanted to profile this ever since Danger Snake has been announced. I finally got my 3 copies at the last YCS, and I still want to profile this deck. It's just like, it seems the only strategies that are using Danger right now are like either extra link decks like Goki and Spirals, or they're FTKs in the case of, I mean, there's 2 different FTK decks using a lot of Danger monsters. So at one point we all wanted the Danger monsters to be a good deck, but we didn't want them to be an FTK strategy. No one really could have predicted that. However, this deck doesn't run like an FTK or an extra link. It's just sort of like a fun, more of a fair way to use the Danger cards, so it's obviously not going to be as powerful as the FTK or extra link decks, but you know what, that's okay. It's okay that this deck isn't as powerful. It's still really fun. It's still really cool to use Phantom Knights. You really get to use this new Phantom Knight Link monster to a lot of good combos and stuff. So anyway, let's jump right into the profile. And we already showed this deck on like a couple replays, and I've played it in a lot of live streams, so I think I have the list pretty refined. I've made a couple changes in the past week, but it's whatever. So first off, 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. Really good card, probably the most important starter card in the entire deck. And then we have 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. This card's really cool too. You want to open either one of these cards, and the reason you want to open one of these cards, well, really you just want to open like any of these, because I guess technically this guy can send those guys to the grave, but your main combo to summon the Link monster is when you can make a Link 2 using any of these guys, at least one of them. You can then add the copy of the trap card to your hand that special summons itself, and then you can just make the Link monster, and that's pretty cool. So you just want to get these guys in the graveyard as soon as possible. With the new Link monster, you're usually like going through, you're doing all 3 of these effects every single turn pretty much, because you usually make it and then you use 2 of their effects, and then you send a different, whichever one you didn't send already, to set the trap card. So these cards are really important. I was playing the level 4 Phantom Knight, which I know a lot of people made fun of, but I don't think that card's actually that bad. I dropped it for Danger and Mothman. I think that might be a little better, because you like a lot of times I found that I would want to discard non-Phantom Knight cards, which you can't with the level 4 guy. So for the Danger cards, first off, I mean, how can I not talk about this great card? This is like the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the best artwork, the best effect. It's so cool. And like no one even pointed out, there's like an even cuter version of him in the background. Like no one appreciates that little guy back there. I appreciate him. They're both adorable. So we're playing 3 copies of this card. It's actually really good. The main reason this card is so good, I mean, I think Max said this in the deck profile yesterday, but basically the reason this card is good and maybe better than the other Dangers is because whenever you activate this card, you guarantee that you're getting it on the field, because either you discard itself and special summon itself, or you discard something else and special summon itself, and that's really good. So you can have like a hand, you can have like any Phantom Knight and then this guy, and then you can make the Phantom Knight Link monster, which is really good. So I like that card a lot. And then obviously 3 copies of Danger Jackalope. So this is like, I don't know, I at one point I just wanted to play just these 6, and I think that might be not completely terrible, but I feel like you need like versatility. I feel like you need like some other cards, so I am playing other Danger monsters, but I do want to say that like there was a point where I was just playing these 6 Dangers, but I think that if you're doing that, you just kind of lose a little bit of the versatility that Dangers are so good at doing. Also, you want to have like a variety of Danger monsters in your hand so that you can like trigger their effects multiple times, or that you can like reveal them and make sure you're triggering as many Danger effects per turn, because they're all hard once per turn effects, but the in-hand reveal isn't once per turn. And then we have 2 copies of Nessie. I found this to be one of the weaker points of the deck when I was playing 3 copies, so I think 2 is just fine. And then to search with the Nessie, or to special summon with this guy if you want to, you have Bigfoot, Thunderbird, and Mothman. So as far as playing Bigfoot and Thunderbird, I think that playing 2 of either of them is just not very good in this deck. I think you want the versatility. In particular, Dangers just in general have always struggled dealing with face down cards, because like Bigfoot can't destroy them. You can't always make Nightmare Phoenix, so I think that playing the Thunderbird's pretty good as just like a 1 of you can search. And then Mothman, like I said, it's pretty cool, just because like the Phantom Knight Link monster, or the Phantom Knight level 4 guy, he does combo the Link monster because you can send him to the grave. However, in the case of Mothman, I think it's just really valuable being able to discard something that's not a Phantom Knight card that comes up every once in a while. So this is the Danger package. It is technically bigger than the Phantom Knight package, I guess, but like these are just sort of facilitating your Phantom Knight plays, and really you're looking at like these are like the main Dangers that you're summoning, and then these are just all like different cards for a variety of situations. But they really help out, and yeah, there's like a lot of pretty cool combos you can do with these cards. Like I said, the main combo is that whenever you have this guy, or in some cases if you have the Jackalope and then any Phantom Knight monster, you can then just rank up into the Phantom Knight Link monster. Is really cool. No hand traps, because when you play a deck like this, when you go, you want to side hand traps for sure, because they're good going second. But when you go first, which is a going first strategy, the hand traps, you can't set them, so they always conflict with the danger monsters. It's just like way too risky. So for games 1 and probably games 3 if you go first, you really don't want to use hand traps. For the spells, we have 3 copies of Twin Twister. This card is really good right now. Beats all the rogue decks, beats Sky Strikers, beat pretty much everything that plays any sort of back row, especially because in our deck, not only can we discard the dangers and trigger their effects, but also you can discard the Phantom Knights and trigger their effects. So you literally have 20 cards that you can discard off this, because there's 20 monsters in this deck, and every single one of them can be discarded with Twin Twisters for a +1, which is just like crazy. So you definitely want to play that card. 2 copies of Desires. I opted out of 3 just for space reasons. I think this is perfectly fine. I mean, yeah, like triggers Farfetch'd, but that's okay. But that's fine. If he gets mad at the 2 ofs in decks, it's perfectly fine. I happen to not mind Pot of Desires at 2 copies though. You're really not trying to resolve 2 in this deck, because it would just take too many resources out, and so I think just playing 2 in hopes that you only draw 1 of them is perfectly acceptable. And then 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Monster Reborn. I'm not playing Soul Charge in this deck. It was like kind of like a card that a lot of times just didn't get me there. Many times, like the Phantom Knight cards are just all getting banished, so you don't have a lot of cards in grave. The card that I cut for it is sort of just like a card I'm trying out, and that's Danger Response Team. So this card, not a lot of people are playing. Let me bring that up there. Target 1 danger monster you control, 1 monster on the field. Return them to the hand. If this card is in the graveyard, you can discard 1 danger monster, place this card on the bottom of the deck, then draw 1 card. You only use each effect once per turn. So this card's really cool. It's basically like a compulse for both players' monsters. The reason that's good though with dangers is because, like I said, the danger in hand effect to special summon them isn't once per turn. So you can like summon a guy, especially in the case of Snake, it's really good. You can like summon any of them and then discard a guy or whatever, and then you activate Response Team, bounce it back to your hand, bounce an extra deck monster that your opponent controls. That's a lot of value, and then you can summon the same guy again. It's really good. And then the graveyard effect basically just lets you activate a danger card once per turn, just like infinitely, because you can always search us with the Nessie, and it's just really good. So I like that card a lot. It's been testing pretty well. Hopefully like it gets to a point where dangers are played as just like a pure strategy without the FTK, and then I think Response Team will get a lot better. For the trap cards, this is how you're mainly controlling the board and whatever. You really just want to have a feel. I mean, when we were playing this deck on live stream, you almost always opened with like the Phantom Knight Link monster and then like 4 or 5 back row, just because it gets so much value. Because like it sets Fogblade, and then the boots searches a Fogblade, which is crazy. So we have 3 Fogblade, 1 Wings, because you just go through these so fast, and it's good to have like versatility with this. It's especially good because when you banish these and summon the Break Sword where the Link monster points, it blows up an opponent's card. That's really good. And then 1 of the Shade Brigandine. This is like the card that makes all the 2 card combos for the Link monster. You just make Wee Witch's Apprentice and then search this card and then activate it, and then make the Link monster using Wee Witches and this card, because that's link up to link 3 there, because you have a link 2 and then the 1 level. So that's it for the Phantom Knight trap cards. And then for the other trap cards, once again, you're just trying to control the board, so we are playing Impermanence. The reason that this card is more valuable than like Ash Blossom in this deck is because when you go first, you can just set it and it's perfectly fine, but when you go second, it still acts as a hand trap. So this is like one of the cases where the fact that this card is a trap card and not a monster card matters a lot. So that's really good for this deck. And then 3 copies of good old Solemn Strike. I mean, these cards you're used to seeing in a lot of decks that I play. I just like them a lot, but also in this deck it's really good. And then 1 copy of Judgment. So basically your opening boards are always going to be like hopefully 1 of these cards or 2 of these cards, and then 2 copies of Fogblade, or a Fogblade and a Wings, and then you have like a bunch of stuff in the graveyard for the next turn, and it's just like usually you can just control the board and then kill your opponent, and it's really cool. There's like a lot of different stuff going on in this deck, because you have like the Dangers, which are really good at breaking boards. You have these, which are really good at securing your own boards. So I like this deck a lot. It's cool. Hopefully that shows in the video. I really do like this deck. It's fun. And then for the extra deck, we have one of the Link Monster. Just in case you don't know what this card does, basically during the main phase, you can send a Phantom Knight to set a Phantom Knight trap, and then you can use the Phantom Knight that you just sent to add a card. And then also when a card, the Dark Exceed, a special summon to one of the arrows it points to, you can pop an opponent's card, and that's really good. You can actually revive this card with the Fog Blade or the Wings or whatever, and then it's like here in the main monster zone, and then you can like summon a Break Sword to where it points to here and then pop a card. It's really good. So this card's insane. The Wee Witches just for that combo. You can also play, man, what is that card? It's like Pentastag, I think. It's a Link to like up and down arrow card. That card might be better than this one because you can make it with any 2 monsters, not just dark monsters. Although in this version, every single monster is a dark monster, but it's just like, it's a card you could play instead of this. But this card's pretty good for OTKs. Maybe it's worth like playing both of them. I don't know. But one Isolde, it's like, it's not as good in this deck as it has been in like other versions of Phantom Knights that I've played. We're not really playing anything you want to search for this card, but sometimes you just like don't need to make this guy, or maybe you already made that guy. So just making this card just to like dig deeper into your deck is good. And then we have 1 Phoenix and 1 Unicorn, no Cerberus. That card, like, I don't know about you guys that are playing Nightmares, but the Cerberus seems to become less and less good every tournament I play. I can't even remember the last time I summoned that card, whereas these cards I summon a lot. And then 1 Boral Sword and 1 Boral Load. Yeah, I mean, these guys are just, you already know the Boral cards. They're way too good, so definitely playing both of those cards. For the Exceed monsters, we have 2 copies of Break Sword. Super, super important in this deck to play 2 copies of this. The 1 copy of Dark Rebellion, that cool looking Ghost Rare. It looks kind of cool on camera, but it looks cool. I mean, Ghost Rares just look better in real life than camera. It looks kind of like I scratched out the image when it's like that. And then 2 copies of Levy the Sea Dragon. Maybe more important than Break Sword, like probably not, because Break Sword triggers the Link monster. But other than that, like this card is just way too good because it keeps your engine going. It's so good. And then 1 Nightmare Shark for stealing games you shouldn't have won, 1 Giga Brilliant, and then 1 Dante. You almost never make this. I can't think of a lot of situations where you would. I would say the only time you actually make Dante is if you somehow don't open any Phantom Knights and you only have like Danger Snake and Danger Jackalope, and then you want to make this card just to hopefully mill a like a Phantom Knight card or 2 would be really good. But other than that, you barely make Dante, but it's cool. Sometimes you just like, a lot of these cards you're not making on the first turn because you're just trying to summon the Link monster on the first turn, but after that first turn, you find yourself making like these cards because even though they don't contribute to making a Link monster, they do contribute to you winning the game, and I hear that's pretty good. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy this deck profile. Like I said, it's not an FTK deck, it's not an extra Link deck, it's not gonna end with any crazy boards in terms of like how many monsters you have, but by God, it's very fun. It's very cool to play this card and this card. I love these cards. It's really cool to play Phantom Knights, so I'm a big fan of this deck. Hopefully you guys know the deck profile. Let me know what you think of it. I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.